was told to do. It's been through the scope. And we look at blood, dry and live blood. I've been doing this for 26 years. So the main thing I would tell you, and it took me 13 years of watching blood to be able to say this, because it's opposite of everything I was taught. The body is healing all the time. There's no such thing as a body that's not healed. I mean, if it's alive, it's healing all the time. And it turns out, as I watched people through this perspective, and I learned somewhere along the line to do heart biofeedback with people while we're having sessions, because that way I can follow where their heart wants to go. Because, you know, it's interesting that their heart is actually smarter than I am about which way they should go. I don't know. I mean, I got pretty well educated, right? But, you know, people's own hearts actually know better than I do. So, we put a heart coherence monitor on, which these folks over here are also doing. And we watch people as they watch their blood healing. Isn't that amazing? Now guess what else? If we're healing all the time, then what's all the thing about disease? What is that, right? Well, it turns out, from this perspective, what I see is when people heal faster than they're used to, that's what creates symptoms in the body. You can actually physically see that. It's a person's magnificence that's creating the fever, the joint aches and pains. They're healing faster than they're used to, right? So, our task in pharmacy school, we weren't told this, but the bottom line is this: every drug is a poison. And if skillfully used, it will poison the healing system and slow it down so the person hurts less. But it's not making them better. It's poisoning their healing system so they can survive their healing, right? There's my first little ping of coherence. Oh, high coherence now. So if you have a baby and a little baby has 1 degree of fever, all their healing chemistry moves faster because it's warmer, so they'll heal in a shorter period of time. If they get 2 degrees of fever, they'll heal in even a shorter period of time. What about if they get 7 degrees of fever? What happens? They heal so fast they'll have brain damage or die. They die from healing too fast, not from an illness, right? So that was an amazing insight for me. It undid a lot of programming, and it took me a long time to really have some confidence in that, watching people over decades. Okay. The second thing is, heart biofeedback monitoring is a reliable guide for a person to see where their heart wants to go. So when it's green like this, it means that the heart is putting out 0.1 hertz magnetic. That's the same that the earth puts out. So now my physical heart is putting out the same magnetism as the earth. And what that does is it makes the nervous system that's always facing backwards, unless it's been reprogrammed. It's always trying to love mommy and daddy. We'll get into that in a minute. It makes the nervous system turn around and go forward. So if the magnetism in my heart matches the earth, my backwards nervous system will turn around, and then all my parts are present in the moment and moving forward, right? So that's how that works. So let me just say this, and you'll see what you think about this. This was kind of a shocker for me. I mean, it's Church of the Obvious, but it was a big shock to me. So the brain literally forms between conception, all during the pregnancy, during labor and delivery, and during infancy. That's when the brain gets downloaded with all its survival patterns, right? And we can track for sure after doing timelines and family trees with people's heart biofeedback. Their own heart knows who in the family system their nervous system is connected with at any given point in time. And that will change as they go through different ages and stages in their life and with different triggers. At some point I might replay grandpa's stuff, right? But my heart will know that. And we sit and do a little family constellation exercise, a little relaxation thing, something where we love grandpa in another way, besides letting my body get the same disease he had. I mean, that's one way to remember grandpa. I can get the same disease or have the same accident at the same age. I can do that. Or I can honor grandpa. I can have a conversation with him. I can tell him, thank you for being mom's father. I'm just a little one here. It looks like my nervous system's gotten tangled up with your story. And I know you don't want that for me. So would you send me a felt experience of what your heart actually wants for my life? Because my nervous system's kind of confused right now, right? Yesterday my blood looked like that, which is perfectly balanced. Now that I turned the same age you did when you died, there's all this free radical damage in there on the same diet, doing the same things, right? My nervous system is loving grandpa, and it acts it out in my body. So that's what we do. We do those little exercises and follow people's heart biofeedback because they know what they want to say to their grandpa. And there's lots of beautiful tears. I put some of these things on Instagram. It's Doc Massey, 1949. But the bottom line is everything's a love story. Everything is a love story. So my part is to help people see that there is a hypnotic focus on diagnosis, on medical diagnosis. It's a hypnosis. So if your mother went to see a doctor when she was pregnant with you, if she went to a hospital to have you, deep down inside, she and Dad believed that they could not do something natural like childbirth without a person in a white coat telling them how to do it. Now that goes into the brain of the little one. So when the little ones are grown up, they don't realize that they have a subconscious loyalty to believe what a doctor says. We can reenact this and let people see that that's what their own heart does. It just believes what this person says in the subconscious mind. And as was pointed out earlier, the subconscious controls the body, right? So if my subconscious believes a diagnosis from a doctor, I can consciously say, I don't believe that at all. But if we don't really look and see what the subconscious believes, we're just kidding ourselves, right? So when that hypnosis happens and that focuses on that diagnosis, the whole love story, it's out of my awareness. The thing that could liberate me and put my body back in balance, totally out of my awareness, right? So that's what we want to do here at Indra's Aware House. Bring back awareness to the house, right? Take it off the medical. So I often have people, just lie down and imagine their mother in labor. And we go back to that time with a heart biofeedback monitor on them. And we ask them to say sentences to the doctor, sentences to their mom, sentences to the little Vin that's about to be born. And their own heart monitor will tell us which one they're believing. Is it shifting or not? Once we do that and thank the doctor for their part, and we say, and I now leave all y'all's beliefs with you. I'm just a little one here. I've carried it until today, and today I realize y'all don't even want me to carry it anymore. So here. And when they take it back, people's heart monitors will go, yeah. So now I don't have to believe this person in the white coat anymore, just automatically. right? It sets me free from believing in a diagnosis. Okay. Now, the other part here before we get to this, how many of y'all have heard of German New Medicine? Okay, all right. So there are 3 reference books that I use. You can get all of these. If you get a heart monitor from the Institute of Heart Math, eBay, Amazon, wherever you want to get it, and you have 1 or more of these books, you can look up everything from sore throat to brain cancer, and it will tell which human conflict was coming up in the nervous system as a memory that the brain instantly changed into this physical thing. E equals mc squared. Energy and matter always go back and forth. The subconscious can do that, and I think the speed of light squared is something like 34 billion. I think that's right. So 34 billion psychological stress units can be compacted into one little prostate stem cell. It'll turn into a growth later, which will be diagnosed as. Yeah, right. So, energy and matter go back and forth, and if we have an issue in the body, we want to get that person to talk about the issue that was coming up for them, and then the physical thing changes back into energy. And then it's out of the body, right? So these 3 reference books are good ones for that. Jacques Martel's book, The Complete Dictionary of Ailments and Diseases, is the most readable one for people who aren't medical. Gilbert is my friend and great teacher, Gilbert Renault. We call Healing Pyramid of Health. And then this gentleman here that I won't try to pronounce his name is an Olympic windsurfer. An amazing book with all the brain scan photos in and showing exactly which part of the brain changes exactly which conflict into exactly which part of the body. This is like known. Like, they knew this in the 70s. I never heard of this, right? Just so you see this, that if anybody memorizes it, there's a door prize. If you memorize this. So, Dr. Hammer, this German guy, multi-millionaire doctor, inventor, his son accidentally got shot having a few drinks, playing with a gun that his friend got for graduation. Dr. Hammer's son died in his arms 3 months later, and he was unable to function. A few weeks after that, he noticed a lump on his testicle. It was biopsied, and they said it's cancer. So you got to go to the place that treats testicle cancer here in Germany. So he goes there, and when he's in the waiting room, a room like this, only probably no ladies, right? It's mostly guys, testicular cancer place. And as he's talking with these guys, every one of them got their testicular cancer right after their child died. Now, he was a cancer doctor, and he'd never heard of this. Like, what's the deal here? So he did a brain scan on himself, and the part of the brain that operates the testicle was lit up. It was active, and it had never been active before in his life. All the other guys had exactly the same thing. The part of the brain that operated the testicle was activating stem cells in the testicle. And what he would learn later, right, since every cancer tumor is a pregnancy, you can get that, every cancer tumor is exactly a pregnancy of that part of the body. That stem cell activation was to help him give the sperm of his youth and replace the child of his youth, so that he could have a young, virile stem cell augmented sperm. That's how loving biology is. Wants to physically replace his child by giving him a free stem cell treatment of his testicle, right? Now, what he learned is, after you go through the grieving and come to the place where you can be okay in the world without the physical presence of your child, the tumor goes away by itself with no surgery, with no medicines. Isn't that interesting? So he did this for 40 years in Germany. And I don't know, do y'all know any Germans?
Yeah.
we were talking some German earlier. Well, German scientists, right? Like when they discover something, they're like kind of really, like, they do a lot of detail work. I just want you to see this. This is his map of the 4 subconscious brains and exactly how it changes exactly which conflicts into exactly which parts of the body. Isn't that interesting? So here it is. So look at it, memorize it, and you'll be fine. Next time something happens to you, just remember the chart and you'll be great. Piece of cake, piece of cake. I knew it. You got it. So this was huge for me to find out that this was actually known. So when we sit with people, and I also do family constellations. We do those at Casa de Luz every Monday. This is a primer on constellations. It's on Amazon, $8. This is a primer on the German New Medicine. Right? This has the basics of that chart there. And it's easy to read. It's like $15. You can come up and look at this later. But it is completely opposite of everything that I was taught in pharmacy school and medical school, and in this culture. So I asked Sophia if she'd be willing to be a volunteer, and we're going to poke Sophia's finger. She still agrees to it, and the reason we poke fingers instead of drawing blood out of the vein is because when we poke your finger, we get your blood and your lymph. So we're going to get the blood, the recycling, and the garbage, right? Which is what the feds used to look for when they would investigate us holistic practitioners. They'd go through your garbage, your recycling, and your trash, and then come in and ask you some questions. So we're going to sit down and yeah, you can have a seat here. So that pattern there, if all of her droplets look like that, we're just going to bow down and we're just going to ask her, what are you doing in life, Sophia? Like, this is like perfect. And, if she were on a dating site, we would go like, you got to put this up next to your photo and demand that anybody who calls you has a net of this quality. Right? This is a great net here, right? So, free radical areas, so I was talking with the good doctor, free radical areas on this test show up as big white places. So, the bigger the white places, the more free radical activity or the more the lack of antioxidant activity. That's kind of what's going on there. The beauty is, those white areas, when we watch them, as these droplets dry, our own red blood cells will rush in there and fill them in. It's a beautiful thing. It's like watching regenerative agriculture on our own inner soil. The body is always rescuing its desert areas by flooding in its resources and filling them in. So it's a beautiful thing to copy, in our farmland, because that's what's happening here. Now, all this big buildup here, I don't know what we're going to see with Sophia, you know what I mean? She tells me good things about her lifestyle, and we're about to find out if she went out drinking last night. We're gonna maybe see some of that, Okay, so here we go. So we're gonna put hers up there, see how much white there is, if any, and watch it fill in and do the magic of healing. Is everybody ready? I know you can do some more later. scream out. It's I know. Some of his, their side of your body is more trouble than the other. That's a good fever on the left side. There's a little bit of peroxide to clean out the finger, and I have to tell you, a friend just came back from Lourdes. It also has some holy water in it. So something really marvelous is going to happen to anybody who volunteers today. Some kind of miracle, especially on the finger that we post. That's guaranteed by the Vatican. Has a different meaning, right? So if she was wearing the heart biofeedback monitor, we could play with that. You know, that's generally not a big deal, but she picks the wedding finger here. Do you notice that? This is the fourth finger on the left hand, yeah. And you're like happy, right? You're happily with your man. See? Look at that. So we'll probably see Cupid in here. That'd be my guess. I know, right? All right, let me get my little technology.
Would you like something to hold the
I'm
light?
just actually looking for a stopwatch here. So yeah, if anybody wants to learn how to do this, you can actually see healing with a little 100-power kid microscope, right? If you do this, you can actually see it at home. So the big news is there's nothing wrong with anybody. Everybody's healing all the time. Okay. All right, and we get a little droplet there, and then we're going to let it sit straight up and down so that the heavy part sinks and the light part comes to the top. Each of these little drops is a different weight of your blood, your garbage, and your recycled stuff. Exciting, huh? It's going to be like watching paint dry. How many of y'all like to do that? Huh? It's exciting. There's nothing better. Okay, so here we go. You did great. Okay, that's that. You can put this on here. I will set this on here. We'll see what shows up on the screen here. All right, so you don't have any big white areas, which is a good thing. So I'm going to magnify these so that they're artificially bigger so that we can watch. So as we watch these white areas, which are areas where it's free radical and antioxidant, do the red blood cells rush in and push in? Oh yeah. Y'all see that? It's amazing, right? So when we see that, and the white areas are filling in, it means that any symptom she has is from healing, not from an illness, right? If you can get that, it's huge. There's no such thing as disease and sickness the way we were taught it in our culture. Now look at that. This girl's healing.
Yay. There's something you need to know. I'm with a little cough right now.
You got a little cough right
A
now?
little, yeah.
So that's where the white areas are
Probably,
related with that.
yeah.
So if
What
we
it
gave her a
relates to.
big magnesium IV, right, the heat would go right to her throat, right? So the other thing that I've done, that I learned, somebody did it on me in 1997, an ultraviolet IV. It is so simple. It didn't meet Facebook standards when I tried to show that, but no. If you know somebody that has an ultraviolet device, it's very simple: ultraviolet A, ultraviolet C, light bulb. It reverses everything that I was trained to label as acute infection, even in kids who were born with immune deficiencies. So when we see, like one of them was a 7-month-old who was dying of disseminated chicken pox, 7 months old, immune deficiency in the family. Ultraviolet IV reversed it. Her older brother had died of an ingrown fingernail at Cook's Children's Hospital. They amputated his hand, 5 weeks of antibiotics, and he still died. When his little brother came in with the same thing, ingrown fingernail, streaks up his arm, going in and out of consciousness, high fever, ultraviolet IV completely reversed it. That has been known since 1939. It was in peer-reviewed medical journals from Johns Hopkins and the Mayo Clinic. An ultraviolet IV takes care of everything called acute infection. Sepsis, measles. When we see a measles outbreak, if anybody gets in trouble from that, it's really the diagnosis as being deprived of natural therapies. That's the real diagnosis. My parents used to send me down the street when people got measles. Let's all get it at the same time. And if you're not malnourished, you're not going to be in trouble. And for the immune deficient kids who are going to get in trouble, you do an ultraviolet IV, and this has been known for almost 100 years. So, when we come back to doing things more naturally, we'll have that available, right? For the little kid who's in trouble, the 1 out of a million or one of the 4 out of a million that's going to get in trouble with measles, right? We can help those folks. There's something to be done that's totally natural. Wow, and look at her making a nice net there. So those black lines that make that net, that's made out of fibrin. And when you make a nice net, it means your hormones and proteins are good, right? So let's look through here and see what it looks like. What a nice net. You see that net there? All those little black lines holding those red blood cells together in little families and villages. It's so sweet, And she's named Wisdom. How could you go wrong? So beautiful, right? So we just look at that, and she would have a biofeedback monitor while we were doing it. Her little heart would be singing like, "Oh, look at this! I made this great net, and my body's healing all the time. It's not sick like I was told." So one of the big things that attacks the body and keeps it in a cycle is my own words that I say. So I am learning when I get symptoms that I don't like to thank my brain for sending a repair to my body. Thank you for repairing my body. And it means that the person has solved a significant conflict in their life. That's when we repair. So all the people that came in with whatever the corona thing was, whatever that was, they all had the pattern of somebody who had just solved a big argument. I may have a moment to show you that. Have you been arguing with anybody?
All the time.
She argues all the time, so we may see it in one of the smaller drops, yeah. So when people solve an argument, the brain repairs their breathing tubes. When I'm in an argument with somebody, my brain eats open my breathing tubes so that I can hold so much air the other person can't suck all my air out during the argument. For biology, arguing is a sucking contest. Whoever deflates the other person the most wins the territory, right? So biology knows this. So like on the holidays, I go home, right? I'm used to being the alpha male, but when I was younger, there was like grandpa and uncle and all this, and I'm just being told what to do again. So I'm getting ready for the argument. I don't even know it. It actually feels kind of good. I'm getting my breathing tubes heating open, getting extra oxygen. I don't even know that's going on. When I leave their place, I have solved the argument. I'm out of their territory. My brain starts repairing my breathing tubes, and I get fever and cough and sore throat, aches and pains, and I go, it was that snotty niece of mine. I must have drank after her cup or something. You know, she must have sneezed on me. And I was trained to blame it on a germ rather than congratulate myself for solving an argument, being smart enough not to stay there and live there again. Yay! You know, have my own place. Isn't that wonderful? And so I go into this repair. So nowadays I thank myself if I get flu symptoms. What argument did I just solve? Right? Congratulations on solving that argument. I feel the repair. Thank you so much for doing this repair. I may take some things to make the symptoms less. I want to keep it in balance, right? Which, you know, when you go see somebody like Caleb, he's going to check and see which part of the body is like, this part needs the most love right now, you know, during this repair, and can help you do that, right? But I don't say that I'm sick anymore, because this is magnificence that we're seeing here. That's all I've seen for 26 years is human magnificence in the body. The ability to heal, the ability to take a psychological fracturing emotion and pack it away in the body so that I don't go schizo, right? So that's kind of what's going on here. Thank you, Sylvia,
Thanks to you, Richard.
for modeling that. Yeah. And you know, if anybody has any questions or wants to come up and see what kind of, I mean, hard to compete with .NET, but you know, if you're not intimidated, you know, you want to come up and have a look, we can do that. And I'll probably hang around for a while, and we might just do that just for some fun. We can look at some live stuff too, or get to see the cells crawl around and move. But I don't know how the time is going and all of that, who's next and whatever. So thank you for your kind attention. Congratulations on being magnificent healing humans.